All right, YouTube. So I am going to video Matthew talking to you about this since throwing knives are not my specialty. These are some of his preferred. He has buckets and buckets of throwaway throwing knives. So why don't you run us through part 2 here and tell us what you like, what the differences are, and what somebody out there should just go get.
Okay, so we have a good selection here, everything from the ultra inexpensive to some of the more expensive throwing knives. Nothing too high, because like I said before, my philosophy is don't spend over $30 most of the time on an individual throwing knife. They're gonna get ruined, they're gonna get damaged, and they're gonna get lost. So they should be enjoyed, but don't necessarily spend a ton of money on them as a collectible if you're planning on throwing them, because they're gonna get dinged up. So first, let's talk about some of the less expensive stuff. So here's a few different ones. They're ultra inexpensive. They're fun for close throwing, within 6 feet. Most of the time they're stainless steel, which means they're brittle, they'll break, but you're close, so you aren't throwing them that hard. Same thing with these. I thought these would be good throwing knives. However,
What are they?
these are made by Kit K, whatever that means. But if you look, first time I threw them, the tip just straight up broke off.
Yep, sure did.
And that comes with being brittle and having too much of a sharp edge, because we aren't cutting people with these or things. These aren't work knives, they're for throwing, which means you don't necessarily want them too sharp. Sharp means fine edge, which means it'll break.
So you're saying don't buy these?
Buy those if you're gonna throw close and you don't really want
Because
to
this
throw
thing right
serious.
here is tiny and lightweight. It says United Cutlery, but it weighs an ounce or two. When I throw this at somebody, it's gonna just flip around. You said to throw it like a dart?
Yeah, they're just for close range. So
So you hold it that way.
hold the tip.
Let's step into something. Now I see these here. These are the ones that I see on Amazon and in martial arts movies. They're flat, there's no real handle, it's all one piece. They punch holes in the handle so that it's more top heavy and guides the flight. And it seems like this is probably what sells the most. But are these easy to throw or hard to throw?
These are Hibbins. They aren't too hard to throw. They're good knives, and they're thick. Look at the spines on these. So they aren't gonna break all that easily.
Right.
They have thick spines. They aren't overly sharp, so the edges don't break off. They stick well. And they're good knives. However, over the last 6-7 years, the prices on a lot of those have gone up significantly so.
Like how much is this? It comes as a set, it looks like.
These sets are anywhere between $40 and $100.
Okay.
Now, I bought them when they were on sale, so they were a lot less.
Now, do you use Amazon or where do you buy your knives?
So I buy my knives a mixture of places, anywhere between Amazon, which Amazon a lot of times has the best deals, but also you can get good blades on eBay, especially used. You have to be careful with the vendors, make sure it's not counterfeit, but their ratings will let you know whether that's the case or not. Then you can also buy them in a range of websites. Blade HQ has some awesome high-end equipment.
So you just shop around.
You shop around, yeah, try to find the best price for these different ones.
All right, so let's say, now this is a world famous brand.
Yep, SOG, they make good stuff. I think these are made
Let's see it.
in Taiwan is my guess. They're good throwing knives,
That's really a broad head.
broadhead. They're a little light for my taste though. When I got them, they were just a little too light for me to throw with.
So they fling about.
Yeah, a little bit too much for me.
So as a beginner, you wouldn't want to get these or a lightweight one
Correct.
because they fling around and they're harder to calculate how to throw.
These are some really good, inexpensive throwing knives from Rough Rider, which is
Those are huge.
Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They make some good blades.
Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
Yep, they're inexpensive. It's a good knife company. And these are made in China, but when I bought them, they were around $7 each. So for a good blade, not a bad price.
And they're heavy.
They're heavy, but they have fine tips, and they'll probably break much more easily than my Cold Steels.
I mean, $7 each is a throwaway throwing knife.
Correct, and they're great.
But you mentioned Cold Steel, so you prefer the brand Cold Steel.
Yes, the ones we showed throwing with before, you can get those from anywhere between $15 and $30.
So what about these? These are in the same type of genre of no real handle. They're flat. There's
Yep.
holes in the handles.
So these I got also from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. They're
See it?
private labeled Colt. They have a good weight. They have a rubber handle. So the rubber handles are nice, but they don't survive more than a couple throwing sessions. They'll get broken up relatively quickly and they come apart, and the throwing knives are just no good at that point. It's fun for a few sessions, and these are relatively inexpensive. I think they were like $10 each.
So what's this thing with the big loop at the end, like a karambit?
Yeah, so that's essentially what these are. They're large kunai, or however you pronounce that. It's Kunai, and they use these in the Expendables. These are good throwing knives, good weight, a long blade, and they are fun to throw.
It's got a woven handle, it looks like.
Yep.
And it's very long, top heavy. So do they spin well? Do they throw well?
They spin well, they throw well. They're good blades, but they're a little on the pricey side for me to actually throw with. Most of the time, like I said before, I like to throw stuff.
So what did that pack of 3 knives cost?
This one I think is around $50, and that was a few years ago. It might be more like $100 nowadays.
All right.
Here's some throwers from Condor Knife and Tool.
Now that looks like your atypical throwing knife. It's got the double sharp tip. It's got the holes drilled in the handle to make the handle light, so it spins top heavy. How much is this? Did you buy it as a set or individually?
I bought these individually. I think they're around $20 each. What I like about Condor is they make great hefty tools. What I don't like about these is there is no edge on them. So it's so rounded that when they hit the targets, they bounce out. They're good knives, but either I'm just not good enough to throw them, or they aren't really good throwing knives for not having an edge.
I assume you can sharpen them.
You can, but once these are heat treated, putting an edge on most of them is very hard when they're rounded. You need a lot of times a professional to do that. It costs more than that.
Now, what are these cool little ninja spike throwing things like nails? What do you do with those?
So these are 2 different types of throwing spikes. They aren't very expensive, and they're fun for close quarters. This one is very front heavy.
All right, hold them still. Let's see. So this one looks like a double tip, double ender, and this one has a little handle on it, but it's got a really broad head. Okay.
So these throw well at a distance.
Okay.
These are good just for getting lucky or for throwing close, because either side's gonna stick. Neither are really anything great for serious throwers, but they're both fun and both relatively inexpensive.
Like what do they cost for a pack of 3?
Probably like $8 to $15.
$8 to $15. So this one here, this one that with the broad head and the handle, what brand is that?
I don't know what brand this is.
They don't say on the knife.
No, they're made in Taiwan.
Now, what do they call it if you were to search for them? Throwing spikes? Or
Throwing spikes.
Throwing spikes, got it. All right, so the other one is what brand?
So this is made by Cold Steel.
All right, let me see it. Okay.
And it's the same type of deal. It has a paracord wrapped handle.
Okay.
And it
Single
is
edge.
made a single edge and is made for as a utility knife as well as a throwing knife. It's only sharp on one side.
Right. And
but
this works well as a throwing knife.
it works well as a throwing knife and as a standard knife.
So this is a Cold Steel. And what does that cost about?
This one you can get anywhere between $20 and $30.
Okay.
They're great. And
So if you're a beginner and you want to grab a couple knives that will make you look good, they spin well, they're pretty much self-throwing, front heavy, what's your favorite?
personally, I like most of the Cold Steel larger knives, the ones about a foot long. Something similar to this, or the ones I threw in that other video that we discussed. They're inexpensive, they're solid, they don't break. I've never broken one. And even if
What brand was the other video? The one that we actually threw the knives in.
Yes.
What brand was that?
Those were all Cold Steel blades.
Cold Steel. Got it.
Most of those are 15 to 30, correct.
15 to 30. Okay.
And if you watch, the prices go up and down a lot of times on the internet. Buy these things on sale.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, thanks.